Good evening, Jeopardy fans, and welcome to Hashtag Jeopardy Live panel presented by the JeopardyFan.com. It is June 28th, Sunday night at 9:30. I am Andy Saunders, and I am moderating tonight's discussion. We have quite a panel for us this evening. First off, I have the founder of the JeopardyFan.com, Jeannie Kenkel. Thanks for joining us again, Jeannie.
Yes.
We also have returning to our panel, Mike Duval from a few
Hello.
weeks ago with a couple of nice hats behind him. The Jeopardy hat, the Whalers hat. From this past week, we have Desta Kimmel and Donna Normington. Thanks for joining us tonight. And finally, we have somebody who is well-known in the game show community, well-known in the Jeopardy Twitter community, but generally known separately until tonight. I have here Chad Mosher, the now known curator of Cool Jep Stories. If you're on Twitter at 7:15, 7:30...
Whenever I get around to it.
You'll probably see his tweet talking in about 30 characters of everyone's interview that night.
Good evening.
So actually, I'm going to start off by asking Chad some questions.
Okay.
What inspired creating Cool Jep Stories?
Gosh, well, one night last year, I was just looking through Twitter searches for Jeopardy! And I wish I could remember who it was from or what it was for. There was some writer for some, humorous publication that pretty much did what we did. Put in, here are tonight's Jeopardy stories, and summarized them really quickly. It's the first time I saw it, and I'm like, that's kind of twisted, but that's really, really funny. So I thought, there could be something to come from this. There could be an account. So I tweeted him and said, this is hilarious. Can we do something on this? Can I turn this into an account? And he said for sure. And so since then, every night since February of 2014, I've been taking each night's contestant stories and trying to summarize them in 140 characters or less. Which is even less because I have to include the 24 characters for the link to the picture image too. So it's more like 115 characters I've got to work with, but it's really funny.
Now, my next question, I guess, what are your kind of favorite and least favorite stories?
Let's see. I can tell you right off the bat what my least favorite stories are. This may not make some of our panel members happy this week, but I'm so over engagement stories. Every week, it's like 1/3 of the stories are engagement stories, and it's just like, I don't want to be rude, but nobody cares about your engagement. Now, I realize that Jeopardy, they say, give us 5 stories. So if you're a married person, well, 1 or 2 of them are probably going to be about your wedding, or your marriage, or how you got with your husband or whatever. But they happen so often that it's just, as a curator of stories, it's annoying to hear them over and over again. My favorites are anything that are just offbeat, anything that are interesting, I don't think there's not one that really jumps out as a huge favorite of mine. It's interesting for me to try to boil down the ones that go on and on for an awkward period of time into a few characters, but they all have their humorous qualities to them, so it's like asking me to pick my favorite child.
I think how good the story is depends on the skill of the person telling the story.
I totally agree with that. Absolutely right. It's hard to come up with an interesting Jeopardy story, I think. So if you do it and you do it well, then you've done something impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Now, I guess, so obviously you're hoping that you see more offbeat stories rather than, obviously, the engagement stories.
Yeah.
There were definitely a lot of engagement and wedding stories this week. Sorry, guys, I definitely...
Yes. Yeah, I think one whole day was composed of love-related stories.
Huh.
Yes.
Alex must have been feeling romantic.
That's right, It's a Tuesday, he's in the mood, what can you do?
At least when I was on the show, the contestant coordinators told us that Trebek favors those kind of stories, so that they, if you have a story like that, you should be prepared to tell it. That's what.
Yeah. So knowing that, I guess that makes a lot more sense now. That if he likes those stories, he's going to want them told more frequently.
Yes.
Yeah. He chose my wedding story. That is not what I had asked them to talk about. So.
Now, what did you have planned on discussing?
Yeah, I'd like to hear that too.
I wanted to talk about growing up on a farm in West Virginia.
Oh.
So.
But your story, I mean, of all the wedding stories, yours was pretty interesting. The whole wedding fair
thank
deal.
you
I
so
mean,
much.
of all the engagement stories that we've had, you know, that's one of the least frequently duplicated, I guess.
Well, all right, thank you. I'll take that.
Now, Desta, did Alex talk about the story you expected him to?
No, they had gone through, the producers go through your stories, and they had picked out one about my grandmother's recipes that I have the collection of them. I think because the show before me, Shayna has her grandmother's silver candlesticks from that she did during World War II. So Alex smartly chose a different story, I think. That would have been a really awkwardly bad story on the back end of those candlesticks.
Your story was interesting for sure, Desta. I'm sure you had plenty more lively tales that you would have wished to have told instead.
Well, when you talk about editing, we actually had a long discussion about what kind of books I like to read and what kind of books Alex likes to read.
Yeah.
But obviously they got edited down over time.
And see, then maybe your story could have ended up differently if they kept that in there. Alex and I like the same genre of books. That could have been your story instead.
Except we don't, so maybe that's why.
No, I mean, the thing I got from that was it must have been disappointing to have, hit 49 books when the goal was 50, but...
Yeah, it's an average. So, the year that you have 58 books, you just move one of those over, right?
Whatever works.
How do you choose your books, Desta?
It's really random. A lot of them are suggestions from someone else or people that I follow on Twitter that I like their recommendations. Or, I mean, there's 1,000 ways, not to plug any sort of websites or apps, but there's one that I keep track of all the things I want to read, and so I'll just go back from there.
Okay.
Cool.
Do you belong to any book clubs?
I have one loose book club because we're supposed to read a book, but I would say 90% of people don't, so we just hang out and drink wine.
Isn't that how most book clubs usually go, though? It's just an excuse to get together and have a drink or two.
Yeah, and then usually for 5 minutes, and then 3 people who've read the book will talk about it without really awkward.
This is the cover of our book. Now, who wants drinks?
So moving on, I guess, to talking about this past week of Jeopardy, Donna.
Yes.
Charles Schumer, eh?
I said that was the power of suggestion. I had Charles on the brain, so that's just what came out.
I mean, the word was right in front of you, too, so it's easy to want to put that back into your mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. Yeah, my husband said, I think you flummoxed Alex for a second. That was kind of neat. I said it was his fault.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm guessing off stage the judges had the look of, well, I guess she's correct. She's correct last time.
I suppose so. I remember sitting there standing. He didn't say anything for a second, and I thought, "What's the man's name? What did I do?"
And I bet the second and a half that Alex stood there felt like 5 whole minutes.
Oh, yes. It kind of did. I thought, I know I'm right. What happened? Yeah, it did. It did seem much longer. Oh, well.
Now, how good was Matt? I know I probably asked this of people more than I should, but how good was Matt in rehearsals? Did you guys really notice, or?
Frankly, I did not. Maybe Desta did. I did not. No, and he told me I congratulated him, when the show was all over, and he said I was worried about the timing, and I said, you don't have any problems. Because he was, I really felt that we were clicking in fairly simultaneously, but he was faster.
Yeah. One thing to add to Donna's comment about him and the buzzer, so to speak. I stayed and watched the game that he and the Friday's game, and I sat behind the producer's monitor so I could actually see who was ringing in.
Wow.
He was on it pretty much the entire game. It was amazing. He was just so in sync with that buzzer.
Yeah. Yeah, it really became apparent that he was, because I know during the taping I thought, well, I'll catch up. I was trying to think positive, and I was, I thought, well, I'll catch up, and obviously I didn't. But when I watched it back Tuesday, I didn't realize how far ahead he was even at the end of Single Jeopardy. And I watched it back, and I thought, why did I ever think I was going to catch him? The time, the money, the totals weren't I guess, foremost in my mind. But yeah, I watched it back, and I thought, oh well.
I think that's go ahead, Jeannie.
Oh, I thought he was really entertaining to watch, and I was sorry I couldn't find him for a hangout. And I'm sorry he's not going to probably be in the TOC either, because I thought this whole week was great. So.
No, he played very, very well.
Yeah.
He played very well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And was such a nice person.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I didn't really get to talk to him very much, but then, but he was there by himself too.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
He and Chris and I took a cab back together, and so we had the time waiting for the cab and then taking the cab back to the hotel. So we had a little bit of chatter.
Hmm. I wonder how many contestants come to the taping by themselves without much of a cheering section. Do we know? I wonder if there's stats on that.
I did.
You did?
I mean,
I did, yeah.
Okay.
most of the shows that I've been on, somebody's got somebody there, but I guess it's especially from the East Coast coming to the West, it's probably difficult to find somebody who wants to come along with you, or can, especially in the fiscally responsible age that we're in today.
I could see if you were coming from back east that it could have been quite costly.
Yeah.
My in-laws originally were planning on driving over as well, but they ended up not. But it was nice to obviously have my husband in the audience. But I think it was Pat. I think he had 6 or 7 people with him, which must have felt really good, I think.
And then the upside of not having anybody with you is that you can always bring home a fun surprise if you do very well,
Oh, that's true.
You don't have anybody else you gotta hide stuff from because it was just you there, so it's not like you gotta worry about your wife spilling the beans at work next week.
If I ever get on, I'm not sure how many people I would bring. I know I already have one person who has already claimed dibs on going. But,
I was lucky when I went on Wheel of Fortune because I had 3 or 4 people in my rooting section, but they were all people I knew native from California, so I didn't have to worry about anybody paying to come with me. I had people already there who wanted to come see it.
Andy, I would say get at least a pair of people so that they have someone to kind of hang out with.
That's true.
That's not a bad idea.
Really not, no.
I mean, because they're not going to interact with you until you're finished.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, actually. I kind of like that idea. But to be honest, there are times where I almost feel like talking about that is putting the cart before the horse. But
well, the power of positive thinking,
True.
Yeah.
It's just planning, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Andy, have you tried out before?
I actually auditioned back in 2008 when they came to Toronto. As I like to say, I feel as though I have improved a lot in the last 6.5 years now. It's been there were a couple of things that I think I probably didn't do so well in the audition, and so I think knowing that now and having the opportunity to prepare a little more will make me a better auditioner.
Do you have your outfit picked out, Andy?
I do have an outfit picked out. I can't really get at it at this point, but I do have my outfit picked out for the audition.
Okay. You showed me everything but the tie. You're going to wear a tie, right?
Yes, I am going to wear a tie.
Okay. That's good.
Yes. Oh no, I actually bought a fresh outfit this week, including a new tie for the audition.
Different from what you showed me?
Yes, different from what I showed you. I didn't go with the yellow. There were some concerns from a couple people that the yellow might flush my face out too much. So I went with a dark purple.
Oh, purple.
That's a nice color.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to wear dark purple on wheel, but I couldn't find anything that resembled something that I could wear, so I was very upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it'll look good on you.
Anyway, Andy, and I also tell you, don't get discouraged. At my in-person tryout in Memphis, there were 2 men there that this was the 5th time that they have been to the in-person audition.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, something similar happened to me when I did mine in Phoenix. There was a man there that I think it was his 3rd or 4th time.
Yeah.
Mike, how many times did you audition again?
In person, just the once. I'd been taking the tests online for about 5 years, I think, before I made the in person, and then I just got lucky and got the call after only one in person. I think that's pretty cool, but I think it's also a testament because there's also people who make 3 or 4 in-person auditions and don't get the call yet. So.
Well, you got something that they wanted that the other people don't, I guess. So that's something to pay yourself.
Yeah.
I really do think a lot of it has to do with which city you audition in. And because I think some of it has to do with that competition that's there on that day.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a fair point, I think.
Yeah.
It's possible, I guess. If you remember Megan from last week, my husband spoke to her father. She had only been qualified for a week when she got the call, he said.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, we were amazed. Yeah. Yeah. I had never heard of that.
That's an insane turnaround.
Yeah.
Right, that's not even time to get adjusted, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't even process it. That a week later, you're still going over like what answers you got wrong at your.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what he said, and I had thought my eligibility had run out. I had auditioned. It was going on 2 years ago. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was June of 13.
That's
I thought I had run out, and I was even considering taking the test again.
Oh.
And I got a call at the end of February, and I was very surprised.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years seems like a very long time to keep somebody in the pool for.
Well, that's what I thought too. So I was very pleased. I was very pleased.
Well,
Absolutely.
I have heard rumors that as they are, chucking out contestant files, they will still look for contestants as they're chucking out the file and think, oh no, let's call this person instead of throwing out the file. So.
All right.
I actually this past weekend on Friday I had drinks in Providence with Carrie Green, 6-time champion, and she said she had. They typically tell you, they'll call you in the next 18 months. She said it had been 19 when she got the call.
That's crazy.
And I guess Maggie herself called her, and Carrie told me that she said, "Oh, well, I thought my eligibility was up," and Maggie just laughed at her.
That sounds like perfect Maggie.
Yes.
I love Maggie. Goodness gracious. I mean, my appearance was, 12 years ago. Now, over 12 years ago, and she's still the highlight of the whole experience for me. I still remember her bright face, clear as it was yesterday. She was insane. What a wonderful woman. So I guess there's our lesson for today, Jeopardy viewers. If it's been 6, 8, 10 months and you're in the pool and you're starting to get discouraged, don't. Because it seems like you still got a shot.
Yes. It worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And oh wow. Okay. So yes. On the hashtag Jeopardy Live panel, in fact, we have Carrie Green who's given us a few messages. First up, hey, she thanks for the shout out, Mike.
Woo!
Also, she also said 19 months between audition and the call, and also she's saying yes, she'll come if I get on the show. Watching was almost more fun than playing, less pressure.
Yes.
I don't know about that though, because it seems like your canons will be just as nervous as you will be. They can't do anything about it. You at least have the control of getting something right or wrong. They just have to sit and watch.
Well, she might also potentially be one scoping out competition.
That will depend on when the Tournament of Champions tapes for sure. But
Right. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
You could get a week turnaround before you get called. You never know.
Yeah.
Very true.
So, were there any long pauses for judges' rulings this week? Do you guys remember?
I don't remember. I remember a couple of judges' rulings, but I don't think they were long.
Okay.
Donna, was it you who said systolic blood pressure?
Yeah, I had my thing. I did begin to say dystolic, but I thought I had stopped and corrected myself well enough. And they came down. One of the producers came with the contestant liaison and said we played it back several times, and it really does sound to us like you said, systolic. And I, what could I do? Really, I didn't.
Right, exactly. No, you gotta let me hear it. I want to hear it now.
Well, when I watched it back Tuesday, I could certainly see where they saw that. So of course, all my friends thought I got posed on that call.
At least it's good consolation knowing that they come and tell you about it and explain the whole thing instead of the way it looks on TV where Alex just chastises you and move along.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that the guy came down,
Right.
And because it was a big money swing, but
Sure,
Matt had me quite thoroughly anyway, and as you can tell, I had absolutely no clue about the Final Jeopardy. It was about the chess, and neither one of us knew it. That was the first thing Alex said when he came up. No chess players in our group today. We both said no. No.
On that one, it took me about 20 seconds to realize what they were asking for by perimeter squares. I mean, I got it, but it was like...
And see, I got that off the bat, too, but I just couldn't make the math register in my head. I think it was too off from what the correct answer was.
If the question had been about chess pieces, I think I might have had a shot, but asking me about the board, forget it. And then I panicked a little bit, and I thought, for some reason I was thinking, oh, the squares on the whole board, because chessboards are big, and, I totally blew it, but I am not a chess player.
Yeah, I'd never heard the phrase perimeter squares before, so I just kind of had to make an assumption of what they were going for.
Yeah, I thought it was tough.
And see, I thought it was easier, but then I didn't get the right answer. So what do I know? It's easy if you can figure it out, but if you can't,
yeah, I was mystified. I really was. Oh well.
But yeah, it's definitely. I would say it was definitely a tough final to come up with on stage because perimeter square isn't a term that's used very often. So
I agree.
No. But then I go up to my husband, and he said, oh, I knew it. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, honey.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad I brought too long.
Oh, well. Now I know. If it ever...
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure anybody who's been on a game show on TV ever has heard the phrase from somebody. I knew it, and you have to resist the urge to punch them in the face. That's just not
Right.
play.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, I guess moving on to some other discussions about finals. Thursday's final with Cyndi Lauper. Do we think it was easier for the viewers because of what happened with Choyan a couple of weeks back?
I would agree that it was, yes.
I mean, my first thought was
I knew it just because I was... Go ahead.
We're all talking at once. Sorry. My first thought was the Carole King or the Carly Simon musical that just came out? I forget which one.
Oh.
The Carole King, I think.
Oh yeah.
So that was my first thought, but then I didn't think 84 was early enough, so I realized it was Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that one too without Choyan's clue. So.
Yeah, me too. I'm a Cyndi Lauper fan, so that kind of helps out. But,
Well, I'll admit to you guys, I thought Whitney Houston was the first thing that popped in my head, and I couldn't get her out of my head. Whitney Houston's already dead, but I couldn't think of anything else. So,
and that's around her time frame. So that's not a terrible thought, I guess.
No, it's not a bad
84,
guess.
you know.
it's not terrible, it's just not right. You hear the end, and you hear the end of the Final Jeopardy music, and I thought I can't not have an answer here. And so two of my best girlfriends and I were going to see Bette Midler in 6 weeks from then, and I thought, oh, I'll just write Bette Midler. That'll get out to them. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, better than nothing. So.
I don't know what the turnaround time was from that Kiki Booth answer a few weeks ago and the actual writing, but I wonder if one inspired the other.
It wouldn't surprise me. I had a feeling the writers had a feeling that might go viral. So.
Hey.
Yeah.
So, Desta and Donna, do you have any questions you got right that you're most proud of, or on the flip side, anything you didn't get that you'd want a second chance on, and you're not allowed to say your Final Jeopardy?
I had a question about a Shelley poem that I thought I knew, but I wasn't positive, and I didn't want to keep losing money, so I bailed. I stood there for that, and I should have went ahead and clicked in, and it was, I don't even know exactly how to say it, but it was Ozymandias. I kind of thought I knew it, but it wasn't positive, and I just let that one go. And I wish I had known more of the art questions. My art history is a little shaky for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of 3 that have haunted me since the day of the show. Mostly, as I like to tell people, I knew the answer, but that's not the one that came out of my mouth. The vague question that I said vegetarian, and I'm not sure if you can catch my eye roll. That was supposed to be the joke of my friends. How many times I rolled my eyes. Also, don't ask me why I would call it an imperial penguin, because I clearly know it's an emperor penguin. And also, when I said Shanghai, which I know is clearly not the capital, it's Beijing.
Oh my gosh.
So there are just 3 right there that will haunt me forever.
It's crazy how the brain-to-mouth process gets mangled in that half hour.
Yes.
There really is kind of a disconnect. I think some of it too is, with the buzzer. I would keep calling it a buzzer, but with the button, that becomes kind of secondary, and you're not supposed to be thinking about it, I guess. So there's part of that too, and I think probably, I don't know, for me, my mouth is on auto drive as well.
Okay. I mean, let's see. I guess now's probably a good time for me to do the This Week in Jeopardy History segment that I always tend to do. This week, I think it's best if I reserve that for a couple, I guess, former panelists, friends of the show, whose show anniversary coming up. this week. First up, the 1st of July. Not only is it Canada Day up here, but a couple of years ago, Ben Ingram made his debut as a contestant. So happy Jeopardiversary to Ben Ingram. And on the 4th of July, one of our Kids Week panelists, Aria Gerson, had her appearance on the show. So happy Jeopardiversary to both Ben and Aria, both of whom are still, I would say, fans of the show. So.
Oh, for sure. Very active in the Jeopardiverse.
Yes.
Yes.
So at this point, let's see, what else do we have? Nothing more to report from the hashtag. If you do have something you want to communicate to us, you're welcome to use the hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel. Also, if any panelist has any questions for any other panelists at this point.
Well, I wanted to say that Encore and Ed are going to be on in the future, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll ask our fellow contestants here this week, coming from the Cool Jeopardy Stories viewpoint, what did you find the most difficult about trying to get your material together for what you wanted to be interviewed on? What was the best part about that, and what did you find to be the hardest situation for that?
Trying to get stories together, you mean?
Yeah, I think that's what he means.
Okay.
So like, what was, I don't know, what was the most difficult part of trying to conjure some questions up for yourself? Some stories to talk about with Alex.
Well, I would say it's just that I don't think I'm very interesting. So what do you come up with that other people might find interesting?
Yeah, and the guidelines they give you to, think of stories aren't that great. I mean, really. So.
They're really vague, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them I had absolutely, of course, no. Like, I think one of the questions was, "You ever had a language barrier?" No.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I have funny stories, but I don't know if I can distill them into 90 seconds or whatever. And I was just, I guess,
and
I was just
that
trying
would be to me to think that would be the hardest part. That you can have some great anecdotes, but you don't even have 90 seconds. I don't think you have just a small amount of time to be able to get this through.
Right.
There's not many TV-friendly stories I think that people have.
And I'm actually thinking, I think that when they came to me, the 5 to pick from were that one page that were just the 5, just come up with 5 things. It wasn't even all of those pages and pages of background where they kind of led you into interesting things, which I thought honestly were more interesting than the 5 things that I put down, but apparently they didn't. So.
And that's what I think, that like, they say, here, pick 5, but I don't think most people have 5 things that they feel are worthy to talk about on Jeopardy, so they put down, for number 4 and 5, just something to fill the space, and that's what ends up being talked about. And they're like, but I was on a spaceship, I wanted to talk about that. And I'm like, no, we're talking about the trip to the library.
The contestant coordinators, when I was there anyway, they did ask which one you prefer to talk about. So.
Yeah, they did us too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's which one do you prefer? Okay, well, we're not talking about that one because Alex has his own. All right, whatever.
That's how it happens.
We'll do this one, but Alex can talk about anyone he wants to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And he did.
Well, thank you for that. It's because it's been so long since I did it, and I was just a kid, so I don't. It's what do you want to be when you grow up, and what are you doing in school? So I didn't really have to
Okay, yeah, I wonder what they.
deep. Yeah, no major 12-year-old anecdotes from myself at the time.
You could have asked me that. I'd have had no problem with that.
But I mean, honestly, if they abolished the contestant interview portion of the show, I don't think anybody would complain. I'm assuming that most people who DVR the show just go past it anyway. Nothing against the contestants that are on it. It's 90 seconds of non-game playing time.
Yeah, I would skip it, except I want to make sure that no calls are overturned. Like in those, sometimes he does that during the interview, so I want to make sure I didn't miss that. Otherwise, I used to fast forward them, And I guess it doesn't matter now that I don't keep track of my score much, but...
Yeah. I used to skip them, but then I started at Cool Jep Stories. You know,
Now your hands are tied.
That's right.
I will tell you though, like, that's what your parents and friends want to hear, right? That's the thing that they're waiting for. Is that
And it's crazy. People are tweeting me saying, "I can't wait. I'm taping the show on July 24th. I can't wait to see how my Cool Jep Stories comes out." And I try not to. I try to come off funny and a little snarky and not mean, but also I'm just paraphrasing what you said, so you can't really get mad at me because this is what you said.
That's what I hoped I conveyed in my response to your tweets.
Yes. No, I was very lovely.
Okay, so yes, also from Carrie, the bathtub was definitely the bottom of her barrel when it came to the interview stories. I believe yes, she actually did speak about the bathtub at one point. I think, if I remember correctly, wanting to purchase a bathtub with her winnings.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I guess that's what happens when you win 5 or 6 games and you run out of anecdotes. And...
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I can imagine.
Yeah, my week when we started, our returning champion was Greg Soroka,
Oh yeah.
who at that point had won his 7th game. And I remember as we're being kind of shuffled off on stage to do the warm-up game, I think Karina or Amy came over to him and was like, "Greg, we need 2 more stories," and he just like he just had nothing.
Well, it was like that point when they got into Ken Jennings when Alex just goes and says, "So, is there anything you want to ask me? Because we're running out of stories."
Yeah. I remember watching, back when Ken Jennings was on, I was fairly young. I think I was 13, 14 maybe. I wasn't really watching every day or anything. And I just happened to tune in one day, and the question Alex asked Ken was, "Oh, I'm out of things to ask you. Do you have anything else you want to mention?" And he's like, "Yeah, killed a man down south once."
That's right.
I remember that one.
So, Ken, is there any poetry you'd like to recite for us? That's time.
Do you know the Gettysburg Address?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I know last week they did that with Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
Only after the first 2 tapings, they said, "What have you got? What have you got?"
Oh.
They were really.
And then I think it was his Friday. It might have been his Friday story, his Monday story, but he was getting to the point where he was out of stuff. His last story or second last story was super awkward. So it's it's almost for the best that it did further because he couldn't have anything else to mention.
Yeah, the last one was the one about winning a gift certificate at a.
That's right. It was the pub trivia deal.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, that's cool, buddy. Let's play the rest of Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness to him, they hit him with that first thing in the morning, so.
Yeah.
And then I'm reminded of the Kristen Sauceville interview, where basically the entirety of the interview was, I can't remember if it was we're taking money away or we're giving money to you, and that was the entire interview.
Yeah.
I hope it was giving too, because that would be horrible if it's taking away.
Yeah. I remember summarizing it, but I don't remember what I put. I'll see if I can find it.
But yeah, it's like, yeah, our judges have come back, and yes,
Yeah.
you have control of the board. Your turn.
That's right. She didn't have to give me more story. Which, hey, that's one more bullet in her arsenal, I guess, for later on.
Okay. At this point, do we have any other questions?
I think that covers my journalistic in-depth for the evening.
Does Andy feel comfortable talking about his upcoming week?
Yeah.
Does Andy feel comfortable talking about his upcoming week? I fly out Tuesday morning. I through O'Hare, landing in Kansas City. I've been looking at the weather forecasts, and I'm hoping it's good enough to fly. It should be. I'm not sure what my backup plan is if a flight gets canceled, but hopefully I get to O'Hare by that point. If I get into Chicago and Chicago, Kansas City gets canceled, at least I think I have some options. But if my first flight gets canceled, not sure what I'm going to do.
Is your audition on Wednesday or Tuesday?
My audition is on Wednesday at 11:30.
Okay.
And
What time do you get in Tuesday?
I get in some point on Tuesday. Probably. Let me look at my calendar. My calendar will tell me these things. My flight looks like it lands in Kansas City at just before noon Central Time.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
you've got a good cushion.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
If your flight does get canceled, then you do have to drive from Ontario to Kansas City. That's a good story to tell. I drove 14 hours to be here.
Yeah, that might not make a bad story at all, but
Cry, Andy. Cry at the ticket
There
booth.
you go. I found the stories from that day with Kristen.
Oh,
March
cool.
16th, 2015. The stories were, I have 7,000 comic books. I play in a handbell group. I'm happy the judges took my answer. That was her story for March 16th, 2015.
but
Well, Andy,
yeah,
best of luck with you on that. That's going to be super fun, I'm sure.
I am really looking forward to it. I've heard rumors that Maggie is in Kansas City, so
Oh,
Great.
lucky.
it looks like
That's worth the trip alone, honestly.
Maggie was at my first audition too. She had me sing
Oh wow.
Why is that?
because I was doing my occupation at that point was karaoke DJ,
Oh.
and there's
Can
a
you
big
carry a
difference.
tune?
I could carry a tune.
Good.
What did you say?
I sang "Hello Mary Lou" by Ricky Nelson because apparently it got out that, or we hit, or at least she said she was a big Ricky Nelson fan, and I sang I could sing that, and apparently didn't work because I didn't get the call in. So
Oh.
I think she mentioned she also likes Barbara Streisand.
okay,
She likes what?
There you
Barbara
go.
Streisand?
Barbara Streisand. Okay, so
Oh.
note to self: sing Barbara Streisand. Okay, that's where the problem was. I didn't sing Barbara Streisand.
Andy, do you fly back out of Kansas City too?
My current plan is to fly out of Kansas City on July 4th.
Oh, you're here a long time.
What time are you
Okay.
flying, Andy?
What time am I flying? The flight back. The flight back is leaving at 2:15 Central.
Okay.
So, and then getting back into Canada Saturday night. The airport's like 20 minutes from my house. So.
Oh, good.
I just thought being a Canadian, you might enjoy watching fireworks from your plane.
That might be something that could happen, but I probably am landing before sunset.
Yeah, I would bet.
Because yes, I'm missing the fireworks up here because our
Yeah.
national holiday is Wednesday.
Yeah.
However, that being said, if you are in Kansas City on July 1st and want to celebrate Canada Day with some of the Jeopardy Live crew, myself, David Kendall, Jeannie, Jerry Shaw, who's been on a couple of panels, will be in Kansas City on July 1st. So,
Yes, the more the merrier. I want to meet everybody.
so also one thing before I do log off for the evening, lots of you listeners, former panelists, friends have given me lots of well wishes for the audition, and I do want to thank all of you for those. I hope I don't feel too much pressure from all of the well wishing that has happened, but all I can say is that I hope I do my best, and that this audition is the one that ends up working for me. So cross your fingers if you'd like, everyone.
Alright, good luck.
Good luck, Andy.
If I do
For
get the call,
ABC Always be cheerful.
Yes. If I do get the call, I won't be announcing it on live panel beforehand. So just know that. And if the contestant coordinators were worried about that and they're for some reason listening or watching the rerun, don't worry. I won't announce it on live panel until probably the panel before my first show actually airs. So.
Whoa! I wonder if you can wait that long.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I could.
Okay. All right. You're gonna tell me that, right? Because I'd like to go see it.
Yes, I would tell you.
I didn't tell anybody that I had gotten online anyway that I had gotten the call for Wheel of Fortune, but it wasn't until 45 minutes out of the studio that I posted what I was going to air. So it's you think you can handle it, but then it happens and you're super excited. So hopefully you can keep it.
Chad, what all shows have you been on?
Oh golly. Okay, so I was on Jeopardy Kids Week in 2003. I was on a revival of Password with Regis Philbin in 2008. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Meredith Vieira in 2011. And in February, I was on Wheel of Fortune.
Okay.
I get around in the game show world.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, neat.
I've always loved game shows, so the money's great, but I do it for the experience just as much.
Oh, that's good. I like hearing that.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that Hans von Walter will be on Wheel of Fortune in the near future. But
Oh,
I heard that rumor as well. I wish him luck with that.
huh. I'll try
And he had
again
a
to get him
quick
on a
turnaround
panel.
time too, if I remember correctly.
What?
So I don't know. I said Hans must have had. I think he had a quick turnaround time, if I remember correctly, as well. So the people at Sony must be really on the game now with calling people back after an audition.
Huh.
well, at this point, I will like to say that our next panel is going to be on July the 5th.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, that's the only day I'm available, Jeannie. So
Sunday. Usually we talk about it first, so.
I thought we
Okay,
had.
we'll talk about. Do you know what time?
9:30.
Okay.
9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central.
And we'll look forward to hearing all about your travels and
Yeah.
Yes, the idea
history
also.
around Kansas City.
Don't worry, I will make sure I get the Kansas City barbecue at some point during
Yes.
my trip.
Mm-hmm.
You must.
Let's see. Let's trying to get the credits up.
Ah.
Stretch.
You might just have to read them.
Read the credits in a style of my choosing.
I'll practice sing them like Barbra Streisand.
Yeah.
He's thinking about it, I can tell.
Or to the tune of Mary Lou, since you know that song. Struggling.
This is
Somebody
what
else will sing Mary Lou while you're working on it.
It'll happen very shortly. Sorry.
That's okay.
Problem was it would have been fine, but I had Ankur on the credits card already, and I had to take him off. So
Yeah. Next time, I hope.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So, for everyone at the JeopardyFan.com, I am Andy Saunders. Thanks all for coming. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.